of wisdom to us. Sir, you are welcome.
Thank you, Sharma-ji. Sharma-ji, members of the Executive Committee of EBSR, Bhandari-ji, Sacheti-ji, old friends from 2002, and the many other friends from that time. I think I see the names here.
Yes, sir.
Them on video. It's a great pleasure to see you all again. Let me now switch to the screen sharing. I-Bank Society of Rajasthan is in many ways a unique organization. I want to congratulate them on a very successful 2-decade-long journey of this organization. Why it is unique? Because it's perhaps a true example of what a community I-Bank means. And what you see there is again a true example of community spirit and volunteerism. That's very fundamental for any organ donation or eye donation movement. And I wish that this can be replicated across the country. Coming to corneal blindness, in our country, perhaps it's the second most important cause of blindness. I first want to apologize to everybody because I'm not speaking in Hindi. I wanted to, but after listening to Mr. Sharma and others, I withdrew that kind of feeling. Because if I begin to speak in Hindi, I'm afraid most of the audience would leave. So I apologize for speaking in English. So what is the size of our problem of corneal blindness in the country? We don't know for sure. Estimates range anywhere from 20 lakhs to 60 lakhs. A very variable figure. But one thing is for sure, we have the largest magnitude of corneal blindness in the world. Like many other dubious distinctions that we have, unfortunately, in many areas of healthcare. This is caused by a variety of problems. Some infections like trachoma and other infections. For a long time, we were haunted with the problem of vitamin A deficiency, which seemed to be considerably on the decline. Problems in the newborns, I'm afraid it may still be present in our tribal areas. Trauma, and then iatrogenic due to various medical and surgical interventions, and hereditary and congenital problems. One thing is, most of the corneal blindness is actually preventable, provided we have good healthcare systems, a robust healthcare system with primary care that is very strong. There again, we have a long way to go in our country. Our primary care, unfortunately, is still very weak. Wherever we had success, it happened because of a combination of factors. Global partnership among organizations that are involved in various components of care, public-private partnership without distinction between public and private sectors, true translational work, and whatever is happening in the research laboratories immediately translated to clinical application and then community application. And innovative models of delivery of eye care and very focused approach on certain diseases. So if we apply all that, we could achieve success. That happened to a large degree now in the area of trachoma, which is on the way out now all over the world. But once we fail in prevention and somebody has a corneal opacity or scar, the only treatment option is corneal transplantation. So how do we get very high success rate in corneal transplantation? You all make so much effort in mobilizing donations, in screening those corneas, and then supply to various corneal surgeons. After all that effort, how do we ensure that a high percentage of these transplants end up being successful? 3 factors determine that. One is the quality of the donor cornea. Second is a clear understanding of the problem for which we are attempting a corneal transplant before we do it, and deciding whether an eye is really suitable for corneal transplant or not, and understanding to which prognostic category that corneal disease belongs. And finally, the issues related to care, that is the training of the corneal specialists, ophthalmologists, residents, etc., and then the follow-up care. Coming to donor cornea, where EBSR is deeply involved and has shown how community responsibility make it a successful endeavor. That means community means it's the medical professionals, the voluntary agencies in that community, media, citizens, and government. No one group should control eye banking, in my view. It should be a combined effort and combined participation at every level of the eye banking to make it a successful program in the country. And each eye bank should also follow these principles of having a proper structure and infrastructure, clearly identify the functions, and aim to obtain, through harvesting programs, adequate quantity of corneas that are of high quality that can actually be used for transplantation. And a nationwide network to prevent any undue wastage of high quality corneas is very, very critical. If you look at eye banking in India, we believe we may need about 100,000 transplantable corneas currently. It's again a guesstimate, no clear scientific evidence to this. That means we have to approximately harvest 200,000 corneas. And while the number looks very daunting, when you scale it down to 1 million population, all that we need is 150 corneas for every million or 10 lakh people in the country. That means if we have an eye bank for every 2 crore population, all that we need is an eye bank that can harvest 3,000 corneas. That's not difficult. 50 to 70 high quality international standard eye banks in the country is all that we require, not only to meet our country's needs, but we can actually export the corneas. So the eye banking, there are 4 ways to mobilize harvesting. The immediate need is best met by the hospital cornea retrieval programs, and we were late starters in that area. Until we began in Hyderabad in 1989, there was no such program in the country. So we lost a good 20, 25 years by then. And we are also following that also, we are moving very, very slowly. I don't know why the government can't identify 500 major hospitals in the country, put full-time grief counselors there, and encourage this program full steam. It will actually wipe out our corneal blindness. That's just one single step. Public awareness, legislation, these are all long drawn out processes. We should eventually have that. And together will make us a very strong country in the area of corneal transplantation and eye bank. The three key sectors, three key groups that have to play a pivotal role is the medical professionals, the policymakers, and the public. If we look at the professionals, for example, very suboptimal involvement in the entire eye banking movement. Cornea specialists, they would like to get the corneas, but they don't want to contribute significantly to the eye banking movement. Ophthalmologists, even much less so. And medical professionals, hardly, not only in this area, but also in other areas of organ donation. And policymakers at the governmental level and all, only a marginal involvement with some funding support. And they are not moving and going ahead with some major decisions that could be easily made without financial and other repercussions. For example, the modified HOTA legislation pending for the past 2.5 decades. Public has reasonable awareness about the importance of eye donation, but that's not translating to the number of eye donations in our country, and hardly any other support at this point in time. I don't blame the public because the professionals and the other eye banking sector did not educate the public, did not raise adequate awareness among the public. So the blame is on us, not on the public. So the second factor for success of corneal transplantation is what kind of disease are we talking about? If you look at the left one picture, that's keratoconus, carries the best possible prognosis. Over 95% of people operated for this would end up with a successful transplant. If you go to the last one, the extreme right, the poorest prognosis, because it's an active infection for which we do transplant, primarily to save the eye, and then only for vision rehabilitation. So depending on the prognostic category, the success rate depends. So that's the outcome of keratoplasty. Finally, the care issues. We need trained corneal specialists, one for probably to do every 100 transplants. Develop strong training programs for cornea specialists. This is long-term, 1 to 2 years. Don't cut it short. Don't push anybody.
Sir, your slides are not visible. It's not shared.
I don't know why. No?
Yes, sir. Is that there, sir? Now it's on.
Now,
Yes,
sir.
sir. You have to just make it full screen, sir, now.
Yeah. Okay.